Oh, look, it's a couple fanboys on PHNX Cardinals today. I'm Johnny Venerable. He's Espo. Espo, you ready to talk a little Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Who?
PHNX yes. Cardinals starts now. Hey, welcome in. Live from Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier, #1 in the world, Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. I'm Johnny Venerable. Bo is out again today. He'll be back on Monday. Espo, the GM of PHNX Sports, in the house. I got him. He was supposed to be with me in June. I got him today. And, of course, Noah Mann behind the mic. We got a loaded show on deck. Welcome, Espo.
Thank you. In June, I got COVID so I could avoid you, but couldn't find anybody to give it to me this time, so I'm here.
Espo, an optimist with the Arizona Cardinals, as am I, heading into the 2025 NFL season. We're going to break it all down today. Welcome, everybody in the chat. Ozzy, Mike, our guy Shaft, leaving an early super chat. We're going to get to that. Be sure, drop a like, and, of course, 50,000 subscribers is the goal. Get us there before the start of the regular season. Speaking of the regular season, we are almost out of, Espo, ranking season this offseason, right? Sometimes it treats us well. Most times it does not for the Arizona Cardinals. And we knew it would be rough after how the Cardinals finished last year. That didn't make it any easier when you see some of the rankings pertaining to the wide receivers. And again, we were invited into the Cool Kids Club last year without having done anything yet, and now we have to take the medicine of people sleeping on Marvin Harrison Jr. To begin this year. We're going to look at ESPN's top 10 entering 2025, but just give me your overall, thought process. Marvin Harrison Jr. temperature check right now.
Look, I thought he had a pretty good first year. I think a lot of people were negative on it because they expected massive numbers just because of the hype. But when you look at it, it was close to what Larry Fitzgerald did in his first year. Like they were not bad numbers. Now, I actually like that people are sleeping on him this year because there's some fun in that, right? When he comes out and he plays to the level that everybody locally thinks he can and expects him to, that'll cause a large stir on the national stage. And I actually prefer that to being overhyped and then either just slightly living up to it or falling short of it. I'd much rather be the underdog, surprise people, and I think he certainly will based on at least this ESPN list where he ranked. I think he'll be much better than that by the end of the year. Obviously, that's predicated on Petzing and the offense and Kyler Murray, but I'm excited for what he's going to be able to do in year two. I expect big things.
I mean, when has it ever worked out for the Cardinals to be the preemptive favorite in any category? I can't remember. I remember Kyler Murray had preseason MVP talk, in the past 2020, 2021, and that didn't end well pertaining to how those seasons finished. I mean, rarely, if ever, when they're predicted to win the division or make the playoffs, does it happen. Even the year in 2021 when they started off hot, I remember going into that year, their over-under was 7.5 games. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. was a little bit of an enigma this offseason because the NFL media didn't know what to do with him. They were like, well, we were told he was good. He was a generational prospect. The Cardinals have a more stable situation at quarterback than the Giants with Neighbors or, to some extent, Jacksonville without Trevor Lawrence last year with Brian Thomas Jr., and Marv didn't produce like those guys. So I do think now we're almost a full year removed from his rookie season. And I think it's obvious that he knew what he had to do this offseason to take that next step. We have a photo, and again, it's been kind of circulating on Twitter, but I thought this was really kind of contextualized it. You see the photos with Espo, MHJ, like super jacked. But then you put him next to like what he looked like last year, and it is night and day. I know we overblow this sometimes. Oh, guy's in the best shape of his life. He's been in the weight room, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes that's a deterrent to guys' explosiveness. He looks like a completely different player in this photo.
Yeah, he looks like he's on that Johnny Venerable weightlifting program here.
Oh, I appreciate that.
That year 2 photo screams yak. Those yards after catch are going to be huge this year. Now, it's not David Boston, so we're good. It's not that kind of big, but I like what I'm seeing here. I think this is a more physical Marvin Harrison Jr., a little bit bigger. I think this bodes well for what he's going to be able to do. And it's not just the arms. It looks like legs got stronger as well to break some of those tackles. I like what I'm seeing, and not just because, oh, wait, he looks good in photos. I think this is going to be good from a game perspective as well.
I mean, just to me, it looks like a guy like freshman year of college to senior year of college, honestly, and not the bad, freshman 15. I mean, he looks like a completely different player. You mentioned the yak ability. He had a tough time breaking tackles last year. He had a tough time separating. And I think, in a league, we had Frank Sanders on a couple weeks ago, in a league where you're pressed by every corner, where every corner gives you their best. Marvin Harrison Jr. has to be able to be physical at the line of scrimmage. And I think that big reason why he decided to change his body this offseason. We mentioned ESPN and their top 10, which has been cruel to the Cardinals, to say the least. They had Trey McBride, Espo, 4th overall behind several tight ends earlier this week. Wide receivers, Marv, not surprisingly, is off the list. Let's take a look, Noah Man. Now, none of this stings necessarily. There's a lot of great players, Espo, on this list. What's troublesome for Cardinal fans and why the time is now for Marvin, Malik Neighbors is on this list. He got taken right after Marv. Guys that got votes include the aforementioned Brian Thomas Jr. and Ladd McConkey. They were taken after Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin Harrison Jr. was not mentioned. And again, what kind of slappies are voting on this at ESPN, buddies with Booger McFarland or whomever? And I like Dan Orlovsky and Mina Kimes at ESPN. Don't get me wrong, but these are like ex-coaches and GMs that are voting on this. So there's some East Coast bias, I think, at play here. But Espo, you look at this list, like, is there a couple names that stand out to you, like at the end of this year, Marv could leapfrog?
Well, I think Neighbors definitely, because of the quarterback play there in New York. I think he definitely is in that. I mean, Tampa Bay, Mike Evans, I'm still not bought in on Baker Mayfield and that he's the real deal either. So, in his age catching up on him, I don't know. Garrett Wilson, again, the Jets quarterback situation is what it is. I think the whole kind of 7 through 10, you might have an opportunity to wind up in that range going into next year. I'd love to say I'm on Ross St. Brown just because, Noah is a Lions guy behind the Mac, but I won't go that far. I think he certainly could wind up in that bottom half of this list going into next year. And from a Neighbor's perspective, some of these other young guys that got votes, would you rather have a good year one or a sustained success throughout your career? And I think Marvin Harrison Jr. had a pretty good year one, but I think we're going to see sustained success from him. So, okay, not top 10 right now. I think it'll be perennial top 10 moving forward, though.
Let's see that list one more time if we could. No, it's a great graphic from our producer here on PHNX Cardinals. I agree with you. I think he can find his way back into the good graces, if he needs that, of the rest of the NFL and enter these arbitrary lists. But here's what I will say. Marvin Harrison Jr., fair or not, was drafted with the expectations to just not be a name on a list. Like, he was drafted to be a Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, A.J. Brown kind of player. And I think I'm not ready to pivot my, expectations. As for something that we say regularly on this show is, like, I think people who become frustrated with Kyler Murray, like, have preconceived expectations of franchise saver, first overall pick. And I think if you separate that from Kyler Murray, good quarterback, can get you to the playoffs, let's hope he can take the next step, from he's going to fix everything, Mahomes style, Josh Allen style, I think you're going to be much more pleased with what you see. I don't want to have to do that with Marv. I don't want to have to this year, if it's an underwhelming season, say like, yeah, he's a guy that they'll pick up his 5th-year option, they'll extend, right? But he's not, some of these top guys in the NFL. Like I just am too bullish on the fact that of all the elite prospects from Ohio State, he was supposed to be the best, and he was the most pro ready, and he works his ass off, and he's changed his body, and he's a team guy. Like I do believe, fair or not, that it was a set of extenuating circumstances last year. Bad offensive system for throwing the deep ball, inconsistencies with Kyler Murray, not on the same page, asking him to do too much. It was a one-trick pony, so to speak, with too many go routes. Petzine's got to be better. Can Marv improve? Absolutely. And I'm not putting, all the blame on the other entities, but Marvin Harrison Jr. had like 2 or 3 games where he had double-digit targets. Malik Neighbors had 11 games. So some of it is, other guys were just spam the football. We have to find that medium this year where Marvin Harrison Jr.'s play coincides with the Cardinals winning games. And last year it just felt like, we got to get Marv involved. I'm Drew Petzing. I'm here to check a box.
Yeah, I mean, my concern is he can overcome any of the issues that he had. He can get more physical. He and Kyler Murray can build a better rapport.
Yeah.
But what neither of them can do is change the offensive system. Mm-hmm. Drew Petzing has to come with a mindset that passing the ball is as important as we hope it'll be with Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. And if that doesn't change, it's going to be very difficult for him to show that much more, because if the targets aren't there, he can't make something out of nothing, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's where it's going to be difficult. So as long as the offense is more tailored to those passing situations, and it's not just fully predicated on feeding James Conner and Trey Benson and every once in a while getting those opportunities, I think that's going to play a big part in this, because again, there's only so much they can overcome if the offense isn't geared towards those skill sets.
Thanks for joining us. We got almost 100 already watching. Smash that like button. Espo in the house today. We're coming back right around the corner. Espo and I are going to break down our official stat predictions for MHJ in 2025. You won't want to miss it. Coming up next. Speaking of not wanting to miss any of the deals going on with our friends at Circle K right now, how about the $3 meal deal Elite? Nothing costs $3 anymore. Well, this does. A hot dog or a tornado, Frito-Lay's chips, and a Polar Pop up to 44 ounces. You're out the door for under $5, including the Circle K breakfast sandwich meal. Get a hash brown, any 16-ounce energy drink, Bang, or, of course, a medium coffee or Polar Pop. And then there's the meal deal, $5, 2 slices of za, 20-ounce soda or Polar Pop. Again, $3, $4, $5. Pick your flavor, but pick it with our friends at Circle K. Download the Circle K app today. Again, join the Inner Circle for free. I mentioned it's free. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for more details. I didn't sneak into a movie the other day. I went to Superman, but I stopped off at Circle K with my son before the movie to load up on snacks and goodies, many of whom were Circle K exclusives, and then I snuck those, Espo, into the movie.
Two for $1 hot dogs today, since it's National Hot Dog Day. Just saying.
Perfect for this time last year when we were doing our 9-9-9 challenge. We weren't at the ballpark last weekend, but we were at Gila River Resorts and Casinos, Wild Horse Pass. So generous, we had a chance to hang out, myself, my wife, our kids, Bo Brock, his whole family, including his newborn. We were hanging out at the perfect staycation here in the Valley, including Arizona's largest sportsbook casino, BetMGM Sportsbook at Gila. Again, this is on par, and trust me, I've stayed there enough times now with any 5-star casino resort that you'll see in Vegas or otherwise. The pool is fantastic, by the way. We spent most of Friday out at the pool. It was well taken care of. It was enormous. And then, of course, we went to A. Shula's Steakhouse, had a fabulous meal. Can't wait to see all of our friends at Gila this fall for watch parties for every away game. But in the meantime, get a staycation package right now. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playathila.com for more details. The only thing I had to promise Gila is Cardinals were going to try to win some more away games last year. I feel like every time we were at Gila, we've taken it in the chin. Thank goodness the food and the vibes were fantastic.
Yeah, the tough part about being the boss is I don't get invited to those things with anybody. Everybody's like, I can't ask the boss, So thanks for the invite, Bo and Johnny. My family would have liked a staycation too.
Well, next time for sure. Absolutely. We appreciate everybody over 100 watching live here on YouTube. Drop a like. Again, get us to 350 likes for my guy Espo on July 16th here on a Wednesday. And training camp kicks off a week from today, tomorrow. Cardinals will be doing strength and conditioning tests, and, of course, their weigh-ins next week. And then, of course, we jump into training camp and preseason. But we're talking regular season. We're talking Marvin Harrison Jr. Espo's regular season statistic breakdown. I'm going to give the honor to my guest first on PHNX Cardinals. Espo breakdown. What's MHJ going to do in his sophomore season?
Look, I expect a fairly big year. I'm looking at 110 catches, a little over 1,400 yards, a little over 13 yards per catch, and then 13 touchdowns is what I'm thinking. I think this connection between him and Kyler improves significantly. I think we're going to see a lot from him. And as we mentioned, when we're looking at how much that body type has changed, I think those yards after catch are going to become big as well. So I expect some pretty big things out of Marvin Harrison Jr.
Love those stats. I mean, Espo and I hadn't seen our numbers before we did this. They're very similar. I'll get to mine in a second. But, Espo, we talked about Drew Petzing in the first segment and the importance of making sure that Marvin Harrison Jr. is a priority this year. And I think we're going to find out early. Like, did the Cardinals get the memo? Like, we're going to be in New Orleans for the game in the opener at the Superdome. We're going to be watching them week 2 against Carolina at home. Like, these are defenses that the Cardinals should be able to exploit. If we see, and I asked Bo this, I'm going to ask you this. If we see the Cardinals come out, yes, winning is everything. But we know the Cardinals can beat up on bad teams. They 8 of their 9 losses last year were against teams that had won 10+ games. Like, we know they can beat the Jets and the Bears. If they win a very specific style of play in the opener in week 2, where it's James Conner running the football, maybe K1 on the ground, and it looks like last year, like, at what point are you willing to hit the panic button, just like with the offense in general?
Probably 3 or 4 games in. I mean, because if you're not seeing immediate change, I highly doubt all of a sudden mid-season the offense is going to open up and change. I need to see more of that run opening up the pass for this team, being more aggressive, going downfield, using Kyler's mobility to open up additional passing opportunities. I know that he's talked about wanting to run a little bit more, and that's all well and good, but I need to see this passing game really start to light things up. Him, Trey McBride, I need to see Wilson get in on it early. They have the weapons, and I think that was what was so frustrating last year as you look at it, and they have the weapons to be a very good passing team, but they just didn't do it. I need to see it early and often to feel pretty good about it after 3 or 4 games.
I'm going to pull up the schedule here, and again, like I mentioned, the opener, week 2, like, I know Carolina's been, the kryptonite for the Cardinals, but like, you ought to be able to score against the Panthers at home. Then you've got a Niner team that has completely gutted their defense. They brought back Robert Saleh. You had success last year against them. Then it's a big test on Thursday night against Seattle. But then look at the rest of these games. Tennessee, at the Colts, right? Like, conservatively, and I'm going to put a metric on this, Espo, like entering the bye in week 8 after 7 games, Marvin Harrison Jr. has to be, I'm going to put it out there, like 500+ yards receiving. I think he's got it. That's conservative. Through 7 games, he's got to average about 65 to 70 yards per game. He may very well do more than that. We're hopeful that he will. But if we reach that bye week and it still looks tough, it looks forced, then I think at that bye week, regardless of like how the team is doing in terms of their win-loss record, because they need to stack wins early, like, you got to start having conversations about, like, do we let somebody else call plays? Because I know you can run the ball with Amari DiMercato against high school coaching staffs of the Chicago Bears last year. But in the second half of last year, you played playoff level teams, Seattle, Minnesota, the Rams. You could not move the ball. So it's like, fool me once, shame on me. Like, fool me twice. Like, you're going to have to win a lot of style games with style points, like, early in the season. And it almost has to mirror, Espo, Kyler Murray's start of 2021.
Yeah, I mean, Kyler has to get off to a hot start. MHJ has to be a big part of that, and I think 500 is probably my bare minimum
Right.
through those first 7 games. Like, I'm starting to really question a lot of things if you're not at least at that 500 yard mark for Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, I think they at worst have to be 4-3 going into that bye. I'd like to see 5-2 out of that schedule as well. And I think the offense is going to have to be a huge part of that in turning up the heat when it comes to the passing game. I just, that to me, that's the only way this team is going to be successful. I don't think they're going to be successful simply trying to run the ball down people's throats. I know, it's fun to try to imagine smash mouth football can work in today's day and age, but I need the passing game and I need it quick. And I think people will turn on Kyler Murray too if this passing game isn't clicking through 7 games.
Let's take a look at my official prediction for Marv again, right there with Espo for 2025. He had 65 catches last year, okay? And it looked difficult and it looked forced. And you may be thinking, well, 40 plus catches to get to 105 from what he did last year, like, that's a ton. It's really not. If you divide 40 by 17, it's like 2.5 catches more per game. And you think about, like, his yards per catch last year was over 14, and he had 65 catches. Like, it was in my opinion, it was a volume problem. We were in the game for Miami last year. The more they fed him the ball, the more he started to take over that game. And you cannot screw around, 10 to 20 minutes into a game with the game clock, that is, and not have this guy feel like he's a part of the game plan. Rhythm catching. It's like, rhythms carries for James Conner. James Conner sometimes might have 10 for 17 at half, and then by the end of the game, he's got 20 for 104. Like, that's what you have to do with Marvin Harrison Jr. And if it feels forced with Drew Petzing, it means you got the wrong offensive coordinator. I think he's going over 1,300 yards. He was right at 900 last year. He missed the Packer game. And again, this is pending, God forbid, injury or anything like that. Like, if he plays most every game, like last year, he only had 2 100-yard games. He basically had no production in 2+3 games last year. Buffalo in the opener, Green Bay. Like, that's not that much more than what he did last year. And then I'll go up on the touchdowns from 8 to 3, or go up from 3, 8 to 11, which, like, to me, he did his job catching the football in the red zone last year, and he'll have more opportunities this year. That back shoulder fade was a disaster last year with he and Kyler Murray. Like, people are going to look at this and say, like, that's aggressive. I look at this, I think it's conservative. I honestly do, because of the fact that, like, it was so difficult last year, and he only had like 400 less yards.
Yeah, I don't think this is outlandish in any way. I mean, obviously we have similar stats, but like, to your point, it's not that much more that he needs to do. And when you clean up even some of those little things, like the connection between him and Kyler Murray, I think that you'll get pretty close to this, even if the offense doesn't change significantly. But I still think you need to feed him the ball. I want to see 10, 11 targets a game. I want to see Trey getting involved in the passing game as well. Like, not just because I want to see them succeed as receivers, but I also need to understand what I truly have with Kyler Murray this year. And the only way you're going to do that is to actually pass the football.
It's a great point. 100%. Like, and they know that. They're not naive to that. No. They took this guy 4th overall. Like, maximize how you want a team build, how you want a roster build. Like, yes, that was an Austin Ford pick, and it was obvious to all of us on the outside. But they sat in a room and they talked about Malik Neighbors and they talked about Joe Alt. You could have traded down and taken Joe Alt and said, we're going to win a very specific style. We're going to win a very specific way. And it would have pissed all of us off, but at least, like, it would have matched then what they want to do on Sundays, instead of limiting the 4th overall pick to what equates to 6 targets per game. So to me, you've had 6 months, and I think the ownership and I think the GM have sent a clear message and Gannon too, to the coaching staff. Like, we didn't do a damn thing on offense, guys. Figure it out. Because again, we feel like defensively we overachieved. So we added some new toys. We added some new personnel. Offensively, we're running it back. Do better.
Well, I mean, look, the mark of somebody that can be a good or great coach is adjustments, right? And
Right.
if Drew Petzing wants to prove that not only he's, the guy, the right guy at offensive coordinator, but somebody who has head coaching potential, he's got to show that he can make those adjustments. You should not just simply have a system that you stick to. You should have a system that kind of conforms to the weapons that you have on your roster. And if it's simply stubborn and doesn't change much just because, well, this is my system, well, then you aren't the coach for the job, because the greats look at it and they go, okay, I got a Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm going to alter what I'm doing a little bit to get him the ball more. It's just that simple.
Absolutely. Like, again, you say it out loud and it makes sense. Like, hey, we need to score more points, be more explosive. Like, let's figure this out. And again, I'm with everybody. Like, I would not have taken a wrecking ball to this. To me, it was the unit that held them back last year, but there's too much youth. Kyler Murray's 28. Everybody else is a baby in this offense, sans James Conner.
Yeah, it's not like you're handing Drew Petzing Nate Poole and Josh McCown and saying, "Hey, give me a high octane offense." You're handing them weapons, and it's guys that should be able to do that. So tailor the offense to do it.
Everybody hit that like button again. Get us to 350 likes here on a football Wednesday. We're going to talk about Drew Petzing right around the corner. Is he one of the top 5 reasons the Cardinals could miss the playoffs? We talked about them maybe a playoff lock. What would it take for the Cardinals to miss it again this year? That's coming up. Missing the playoffs, almost like missing that thermostat, smart thermostat, and your temperature's running up. Drew Petzing, temperature's running up in your house. How do you cool from afar? How about with our friends, the energy efficient APS smart thermostat right now? Did you know that every 1 degree you raise your thermostat, you could adjust, save up to 2 to 3% on your cooling costs? It's over 110 degrees today. I know I've got my smart cooling app. Do you? That can be hard to find when you're not away from your place. Energy efficient appliances and more are available right now at a discount with special offers on those smart thermostats at marketplace.aps.com. Again, APS customers are eligible for smart thermostats for as low as $0, free 99 when you enroll in the APS Cool Rewards program. If you got a smart thermostat at your home, see if it's eligible to enroll in the Cool Rewards plan. They do a tremendous job. Free installation available with our friends. Marketplace.aps.com. You got to be an APS customer. Pay on those shipping and taxes. Other restrictions apply. Go to marketplace.aps.com for more information. How about information on how to manage your money the best possible with our friends at Mountain America Credit Union? Again, one of the biggest concerns I have is driving around looking for an ATM, looking for a branch. Well, they've got 100 branches throughout the West. Does Mountain America Credit Union, taking care of over 1 million members. Get 2 times the points on rewards credit cards through the end of the month, July 31st. Take advantage now. Again, pile up. You can use it for gas, groceries, travel, everyday stuff, home projects, all purchases. Love gearing up on points. I don't use a credit card right now that I can't earn points, and they're right there, as is Mountain America Credit Union. Limited time only. Take advantage. Visit them, macu.com/double. That's macu.com/double. Loans on approved credit can offer or change. Be withdrawn at any time. Limited time only. Terms and conditions apply. Espo, we're fired up here because I think a week from Saturday, we're going to be out at Chicken and Pickle for what is our 3rd annual Chicken and Pickle pickleball tournament, my guy.
It is our 3rd tournament, and our first that is going to be helping Big Brothers Big Sisters, which is a great, obviously, charity here in Arizona. We're going to be helping the kids out with a little pickleball tournament, as Johnny mentioned, Saturday, July 26th. It's going to be at 10 a.m. It is fantastic. We have the indoor courts. You don't have to worry about the heat. You can come out. We have about 20 slots left, so get in and go to gophnx.com. Sign up today. You can either play as a single and we'll pair you up with somebody, or you can bring a team. Doesn't matter if you're a rookie or a ringer, you can come out, you can play, and we're going to have a good time out at Chicken and Pickle. And then they've got fabulous food too. So you're going to be covered throughout that Saturday.
Bo and I will be there. We've got training camp later that day at State Farm Stadium. This is like the perfect day. You come, you hang with us right next to the stadium at Chicken and Pickle, hang out, play a little pickleball, great food, great vibes, and then head on over to watch some, I believe, open practice that Saturday. So a banger of a day, as we like to call it here in the Valley. So big thanks to our friends at Chicken and Pickle. Again, sign up now, go PHNX.com. Those are good vibes. What about not so good vibes with the Arizona Cardinals?
I thought we were going to talk Suns when you said not so good vibes.
I'm not allowed to do that. Sometimes we save that for like the last 10 minutes of the show when we go into overtime, and I'll throw some things out there. And like, who's the guy that plays off of Gerald's name? And he's just like, Johnny, you're too negative with the Suns. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I watch that show and they're critical too, but I guess I'm overly critical of what's going on.
So what bad vibes are we talking about, Johnny? If it's not the Suns, where are we going?
I think sometimes we have to have perspective and be objective. And while I think that it will be a travesty if the Cardinals don't make the playoffs this year, or like they win 10 games, they don't make the playoffs, like, don't come in here and say it's a failed season. Like, I think they're going to win 10 plus games. I actually predicted them to win 11. If they regress this year, if it doesn't work out, right, even though they've got same coaching staff, continuity 3 years, roster's fantastic, schedule's much easier than last year, Jonathan Gannon is aces. If they regress or they win 7 or 8 games this year, what will be the rationale? And so we put together our top 5 reasons the Cardinals missed the playoffs this year. Noah, man, let's see it. And of course, number one, it's obvious. Like, if Kyler Murray hits the ceiling and you get like similar production last year, he's got Sundays where he looks fantastic, but he can't beat the great teams, can't win late in the year. That will be the number one reason the Cardinals make the playoffs. And these first 3 kind of join each other, Espo. Next up, of course, we talked about it, Marvin Harrison Jr. Like, what if Marv can't take the next step? What if Marv goes down? What would the passing game look like without Marvin Harrison Jr.? And then Drew Petzing, like, if we're sitting here and the Cardinals are 2-2 and they're 25th in passing yards and they just look disheveled, like, if Drew Petzing's passing game does not evolve, like, we need to see an evolution of what we saw last year because it was not good enough. Like, would the Cardinals make a change midseason to Drew Terrell, the passing game coordinator? That remains to be seen. And then honestly, like, I have a huge gap between the first 3 and the next 2. Number 4, top talent doesn't develop. So like Will Johnson, Darius Robinson, and Walter Nolan suddenly can't play football. They're Jags. They're just a guy on Sundays, and they don't take that next step. And then number 5, if a bunch of veterans that the Cardinals brought in, Calais Campbell, Josh Sweat, Dalvin Tomlinson, just are average. They underwhelm. But again, like, even putting those 2 together, 4 and 5, Espo, like, there's just, in my opinion, there's just not a reality in which that happens.
No, definitely not both. I mean, and I don't see that. I mean, you basically have to have a catastrophic fail with all 3 of those guys on both lists in 4 and 5, not playing well for that to actually happen. I think there are a couple things that are missing.
Okay.
From here. I think injuries is always a given.
For sure.
If there's some kind of injury, obviously that could derail everything. If it's a K1 in particular, that changes the dynamic of everything. But the big one that I think you're missing is the fact that you and Bo are fully bought in. And I think that terrifies me that you guys are all in. You're saying 11 wins. That jinx factor has to come into play too. That could be the 6th reason on that list about why the Cardinals missed the playoffs, because you guys are jinxing it.
We're bad people. That's right. It's, you know, it is funny to kind of play off of that. It's crazy to me. Like, I've been covering this team. This will be my 5th season covering it for PHNX Sports alone. Very blessed to do this. And like, most of the time, this team is not good. And we can sell hope, and then the games start and it's not a good time. It's a bad time on Sundays. And they can't win on the road and they get smacked around by Sean McVay. It's like, we have to, 80% of the time, 90% of the time, we have to take it in the teeth. So God forbid, like, this offseason, we're fired up about this team. And don't get me wrong, there's a large segment of the fan base that feels this way, that are excited about this season. There are people on Twitter that, like, the Cardinals could have signed like peak Peyton Manning this offseason and loaded it up, and they would have issue with it. They would have things to complain about. Like, I can't help you if you're not fired up about this team this year because of what they've done in the offseason. I get it. Kyler Murray is a hot button topic for a lot of people. I'm sitting here asking you, what would you like them to do this offseason that is going to remedy your Kyler Murray concern? The quarterback draft stunk. The veteran free agent class stunk. You want Sam Darnold? I watched him in a playoff game wet the bed. I think they hit a home run this offseason, and I think it will translate to a postseason berth this year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there was anything else that they could have done this offseason that would change anybody's perspective that has just decided that they're out on K1.
Yeah.
Like the only thing they could have done was move on. And to your point, if you wound up with Sam Darnold, I think they would have lit the torches and been ready to lose their mind even more.
Yeah.
They would have stormed the Tempe facility at that point. But maybe a change at offensive coordinator may have changed some of those people's minds, but I think it was vastly premature to get into those waters either. Also, Johnny, you got to be careful on those mean Twitter streets. Because if we base everything we think about our fan bases off of that, we have the most miserable human beings ever to be sports fans in Arizona. And I just refuse to accept that that's the case.
I will say too, I thought I was tough on the Twitter streets, and I love Twitter. I will never log off. So no matter the bullying and the trolling will never get rid of me. I tweeted one thing about the Phoenix Suns the last month, and it was very positive. I liked the Kevin Durant trade, and I liked who they got in return. You would have thought that I went after everybody and their mother simultaneously with the responses. And again, I am not a ball knower or an expert. I just looked at a young asset, scores some points. Kevin Durant's 1,000,000 years old. Get rid of him. I liked the 10th or 11th overall pick. I was like, this is a great deal for the Suns. And people are like, they lost their mind. So you're a hard man for covering that franchise.
To be fair, I mean, Twitter broke Elmo. I mean, so what are any of us supposed to be able to do on that platform if the most lovable plush puppet in the world was broken by Twitter or hacked, whatever it was?
Let's see that list one more time. Noah did a tremendous job with this graphic. Do you agree? Number one reason is Kyler Murray. Is it as cliche? Just if Kyler Murray hits the ceiling this year, and he can be a game manager, but in game managers, you still have to have game-winning drives and clutch plays. But do you believe that's clearly the number one reason?
Yeah, I think he has to be at least a top 12 quarterback in this league for this team to succeed. I don't think, simply average is going to do. And I think that's basically where he was last year. I think if we find out that is who Kyler Murray is, then that's the number one issue, because your number two issue, if Kyler hits a ceiling, Marvin Harrison Jr. can't take that next step. Doesn't matter. He just won't be able to if Kyler Murray isn't that guy. So I actually think 1, 2, and 3 all are kind of predicated on each other to happen, because if Kyler hits a ceiling, Drew Petzing's passing game is going to look like it didn't evolve.
Right.
But if Kyler can play at a higher level, it can actually hide some of maybe number 3 if you have to, and Drew Petzing's passing game failing to evolve. But everything is predicated on what Kyler can do.
Yeah, funny. All 3 of those kind of go hand in hand, and that's literally the key to the season, is that your first overall pick and your 4th overall pick get it going. And then suddenly hey, this could change the dynamic of the season. You could go from a fringe playoff team. Vegas thinks this team is going to win 9 games. The over-under is 8.5, and the plus money is for the under. So they feel like the money, everything is going with Cardinals winning 9+ games this year. And that's with people dogging on K1. If Kyler Murray somehow changes gears and we see peak Kyler Murray for 17 games, I mean, I think the roster's in a place where they could really take advantage and make some noise. And so he's got to do it, though. He's got to show up and do it every Sunday.
Well, I think if he takes it to a level where he's a top 8, 5 or 8 quarterback, then even with Petzing maybe not calling a perfect game all the time, even if Marvin Harrison Jr. doesn't necessarily take as big of a step as everybody wants, I think they have enough weapons where if Kyler takes that big of a leap, he can single-handedly take them into that 11-12 range, even if some of those other things don't seem to happen as much as we want, because those weapons that he has are so vast that maybe MHJ isn't that big leap, but you see other guys. Trey McBride takes a huge leap. I mean, I know he was great, but maybe there's another level he takes it to, or Michael Wilson takes it to another level because Kyler's skills wind up looking that much better. So much is predicated on Kyler, and I understand that maybe that's why some teams or some fans are down on what they may be able to do because they don't fully buy into him. I believe that there is a guy that's a top 5 to 8 quarterback in the league there, and he needs to put it together now that he's another year removed from that injury. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen this year.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Like I feel like we'll have full context. 3rd year in the system, 2 years removed from the ACL. The best team I think he's played with in terms of a complete team. And again, like this is the time for him to be able to elevate this franchise in the later months of the season. I mean, there are going to be people if they get off to a fast start that are going to wait until November and December, and maybe rightfully so. But those are our top 5 reasons why the Cardinals will miss the playoffs in 2025.
I feel like we need to disagree on something in this program, Johnny, because I've been very affable, and it's not because I'm a guest in your home today. It's just I genuinely actually agree with you in most of what you're saying, which terrifies me. I feel like we have to have something that we disagree on, right? Well,
I won't talk to you about the fact that maybe you should have shopped Devin Booker about a month ago, but we won't go into that. That would be bad.
I'm here to talk football, Johnny.
That's right.
I'm not a one-trick pony. I host a general show now. I can talk anything, and I'm going to be talking a lot of Cardinals, so you better respect my authority on that.
Yeah,
right?
What says football than talking in the 3rd segment? Right guard. Isaiah Adams met with the media today. Noah Mann was there. We're talking Isaiah Adams plus your super chats. That's coming up. Right guard talk on July 16th. If that doesn't get you going, I can't help you. Who can help you? Our friends at Empire Today. They can install flooring for you at the drop of a hat, and hopefully you're not dropping big coin. Why is Empire Today your best bet for a new floor? They live and breathe flooring, and they'll be with you every step of the way. It's a whole different ball game. Their flooring experts bring the showroom right to you. Get precise measurements taken, have all your questions answered. There are no surprises. With Empire Today, you get the clear upfront, inclusive pricing. Plus, you can schedule installation as soon as the next day. Schedule an in-home free estimate today, because some things are just better at home. PHNX is going to hook you up right now, $350 off. That's $350 discount dollars with our bonus code PHNX. Again, restrictions apply. Visit them right now, Empire Today/PHNX for the details. Again, EmpireToday.com/PHNX. And speaking of saving money, speaking of managing your finances responsibly, how about taking a look at our friends at monarchmoney.com, the #1 budgeting app, according to the Wall Street Journal. Ever heard of them? Of 2025. Again, without a clear financial picture, financial dreams can be out of reach. Monarch Money makes managing money simple, even for the busiest lives. Track your spending, savings, investments effortlessly so you can focus on what matters most, making your biggest life goals a reality. Again, you can check them out right now. Individual accounts, you can set goals together. You can keep money check-ins as drama-free as possible. Plus, you can even share access with a financial advisor or tax pro at no extra cost. Again, get control of your overall finances with monarchmoney.com. Use bonus code PHNX. You're going to get half off the rest of the year. That's monarchmoney.com, bonus code PHNX. Do you know, Espo, who Isaiah Adams is? I'm going to ask you right.
An offensive lineman for the Arizona Cardinals.
That's right.
Started 5 games last year. Am I correct?
Yeah, look at that.
Look at that.
Doing his homework.
I dig deep. He's one of those guys that puts his hand in the ground, gets those knuckles dirty, and pushes some people around, Johnny.
He does the dirty work like you and I do on this network every day. I'm going to tell you right now, he is one of the most undervalued players on the Cardinals right now, and his selection was overshadowed by a certain blocking tight end from the same university that went about 10 picks later in Tip Ryman. So I'll never forget. We watched the day 2 of the draft, and they had taken Max Melton, and they had 4 picks in the 3rd round. They went Trey Benson. Then they took this tackle guard tweener from Illinois, Isaiah Adams, and we had his coach on, his offensive line coach on, I think, or maybe even his coordinator on the show like the next week. And he said, selfless kid. If he would have played guard the entire year at Illinois, he would have been a high second-round pick. But they had injuries at tackle. They had to move him around, and he did what was best for the team. Fast forward to the preseason last year, he was a liability in pass protection. I can put that out there, but he was maybe the most talented run blocker on the team. So they stashed him away. As people know, Will Hernandez got hurt late in the year. He stepped in for the final 5 games, and that was it. He had earned a job in their mind leading into this offseason. He spoke earlier today, but before we get to that, what is your feeling on the Cardinals' offensive line right now? A lot of people nationally kind of poo-poo it. They're not educated on it. I actually think it's one of the best put-together O-lines the Cardinals have had in some time.
Oh, I mean, let's be honest. That's not saying a lot for the years that we've watched this team. But no, I actually think they're underrated in a lot of ways, and they're going to be so important in terms of Kyler Murray's success and what this offense can do. Because yeah, Drew Petzing can draw up a great game plan, but if they're not protecting for Kyler, that breaks down, and then it's Kyler just playing jazz, right? Yeah. He's just improvising at that point. I think this is a unit that can definitely step up and help this team, and was pretty good last year as well, and a huge reason for James Conner's success. So I think they're fairly underrated. Now, am I an offensive line expert? No, just because I have the same body type as some of those guys doesn't mean I know everything about being an offensive lineman, but I think they're a pretty underrated squad right now.
Yeah, I think Isaiah Adams is one of these players we're going to be hearing about on like top 25, under 25. I know he's already 25, but the guys who are like darlings of teams that don't get the credit. I really do believe if he plays all 17 games, he's going to be that kind of ascension player. Let's take a look at his player profile, Espo. Again, 462 snaps played, 71st overall pick last year. PFF numbers, modest. His overall grade, 58. Much better run blocker, 64.7. Pass protection was a little bit of a hot mess. And again, like, he played in a preseason game against Indianapolis last year and had a tough time, but then you turn around and he was pancaking people in the run game. So this is the ultimate ball of clay for new offensive coordinator Justin Frye to mold. And speaking of Justin Frye, Isaiah Adams spoke about his new offensive line coach earlier today.
Man, he's a breath of fresh air. I obviously loved Clayton, and he drafted me, but at the same time, Coach Frye does things a little bit different, and, I enjoy them. I trust Coach Gannon and I trust Coach Frye, so they're gonna get everything they can out of me for sure. I'm excited to be with him for sure.
Here's Adams more on his 5 games played last year for the Arizona Cardinals and the evolution of his role with the team.
How were they? They were a huge learning process. There was highs, lows, growing pains, and I care so much about this game, so to not have the success that I would like to have is obviously challenging, but you can either, get better or, stay the same. So I chose to get better for sure.
He's going to talk about here in a second, Espo, getting better based on the Cardinals' influx of defensive linemen this offseason, notably like Calais Campbell and Dalvin Tomlinson. Like, how big of a coup is that? We already were high on the Cardinals' offensive line to begin with, but you think about like the guys they are going up against in practice the last 2 years, not very good compared to what it is now.
Well, yeah, what's the old saying? Iron sharpens iron. I mean, if you've got a dull blade across the way from you, it's not making you that much better. And just a guy like Calais Campbell who can show some of these offensive line guys. These are the secrets that a lot of these other defensive linemen are going to be using against you, and then implementing it while these guys are going head to head. I think that can do nothing but help them get better. And I love his attitude about it. He seems like he's up for anything. He wants to learn. He trusts the coaching staff. And that's half the battle, is if you've got a guy that genuinely wants to learn and put in the work, getting better is inevitable, right? Because he obviously has the physical tools. You don't draft a guy if he doesn't, but if he's got the right mindset, that's huge. And I think then learning from some of these better defensive linemen that you bring in can't do anything but help. And I'm excited to see what they're able to accomplish because of it.
Here's Adams on that defensive line sharpening his iron.
It just looks competitive over there. Whenever I look at them kind of doing their indie, I know they got a new coach over there that's excited. So they just look competitive. They all look ready to go. So I can't wait to, compete with them. There's not one guy that I'm, have a star on. We're all teammates, but I'm excited to see like some of the veterans, Calais and Dalvin. I think it's just kind of it's unique. I'm going into my second year, and those guys are a lot older than me, so just to test myself and compete with them is such an honor. So I'm thankful for that.
I got to tell you, my iron's sharpened after hearing that. I am sharpened to a point right now.
Oh man, I almost got through the show without a clunky transition like that. What a time to be alive,
Johnny. That was impressive. Bo has to deal with this kind of transition all the time.
You ready to sharpen your iron ahead of training camp? Let's go. We got one more clip. Here's Adams on his evaluation of himself from last year.
I think it was obviously I just got to be thankful for even getting in there. You're not having the success that you're used to in college, and I think it's humbling, but at the same time, it just kind of motivated me to get bigger, stronger, faster, and maybe switch on my approach, and added way more fuel to the fire. So I'm excited to see how that turns out.
I think what we fail to realize as Cardinal fans is we haven't had these kind of, and I know he hasn't played a full season yet, and I don't want to over-evaluate. We have not had guys that you stash in the second and third round, you develop, and you unleash them the next year. And I see a lot of people that are like, bring back Kazir White, bring back Will Hernandez. Respect to those guys. They are unsigned for a reason. It's July 16th. Now, they will have jobs before the start of the regular season, but they're both approaching 30 years old. They have had, specifically Will, had a major injury, and Kazir is a good player, limitations athletically. You draft and develop so that Isaiah Adams can provide, respectfully, cheap labor, and then hopefully you get the peak years of his career. You're not out here signing Steve Keim style 30-year-olds to take starting jobs in the heat of the summer. And we've been conditioned to do that. And I'm guilty of it too. I'll look at best available free agents and let's plug that guy in here and let's do this, this, and this. And it's no, the Cardinals, they have a plan. They trust their scouts. They bring players in and they develop them. Now, that doesn't mean they're never going to bring in a free agent late in the offseason. But I see a lot of people we have an issue at guard. I don't think so. They got a guy in Evan Brown who started all 17 games last year. And then they got this kid. It's top 75 pick in the draft. You got to play him.
Yeah, but look, that's Keim PTSD, right? Because you couldn't rely on those second and third round guys to come in and play. We saw so many guys fail out of those Keim drafts that I don't blame people for being concerned at this point, because they were conditioned to believe, well, he only started 5 games last year. He's a second round. He's a early pick. I just don't trust it, right? And I think that's going to take a little bit of time. You got to earn that trust if you're Monty Ossenfort with the fan base by proving this with some of these guys, that by saying, you know what, thank you, Will Hernandez, we're going to move on. And then can they come in and can they fill that void? And when they do, I think the fan base will react a little bit different. But it does not surprise me that fans lean that way, because they were conditioned to. So many times you saw those kind of failures. So it does not surprise me that people are hesitant.
Let's hear, lastly, Adams on probably the mentor of the offensive line, Paris Johnson Jr., who epitomizes draft and develop.
He's definitely a vocal leader, and I think I've seen that grow throughout, his second year and going into his third year. He was extremely vocal throughout the OTAs and minicamp period, so that was great. And, he's a guy that does the right things every single day, so you can't really ask for more from one of your top guys, yeah.
We did a full show yesterday. It was a banger of a show on 2015 Cardinals versus 2025 Cardinals, and roster construction versus best Cardinal team that I've seen in a regular season that won 13 games. And as great as that team was, they had so many cracks in the foundation, and they were built, no pun intended, on a house of cards where they didn't have, and Noah did a great job on the graphic from yesterday, they didn't have any defensive linemen or offensive linemen that were homegrown playing and entering their peak. It was all running backs, safeties, right? Yeah, here it is. So it's you look at Calais Campbell, Frosty Rucker, Lamar Woodley, Dwight Freeney, old, right? Then on the flip side, it's like defensively, we've got Darius Robinson, Dalvin Tomlinson, Walter Nolan. I know Dalvin's a little older. And then let's look at the offense specifically, if we could, Noah, man. Look at the difference in age. Jared Valdir, Bobby Massey, Lyle Senline, Mike Iupati. Well, this group, Froholt's a top 10 center, but then Adams is 25. Paris Johnson Jr. is 24 years old. Isaiah Adams, again, 25 years old. You can just see like line of scrimmage plays. It's what wins in the NFL. It's how the Eagles have been viable for 10 years. When they got Lane Johnson, they just kept doubling down. Fletcher Cox, like it's crazy to say, like receivers are expendable, right? Position players are expendable. They're available every offseason. Elite offensive and defensive linemen, those guys are developed and then they are never let go.
Yeah, but developing hasn't, rarely been the strength of this franchise, because that starts with drafting extremely well, and then being able to keep that young talent happy while they're here, so you can continue to develop them. We just consistently throughout the decades, this isn't just a recent problem. We haven't seen the Cardinals able to do that, like to take those high quality picks, develop them, and then keep them happy enough being within the organization to stay around for a long time. And I think you're finally getting to a point where, you went outside the family, quote unquote, to get a general manager in Monty Ossenfort. You take a chance on a younger coach, and now you're building something rather than just trying to win in the moment. You're trying to build a sustainable winner. And that's what's so encouraging to me with what they're doing, to your point, is building that, in particular on the offensive and defensive lines, trying to do that and build it for sustained success where we haven't seen that in the Valley.
Yeah. I was trying to think back, like Paris Johnson Jr. is going to get $100 million this next offseason, and he's going to be the first homegrown tackle since Humphreys got an extension. Different circumstances. Humphreys was a late bloomer. Paris has been a stalwart since day one. I cannot remember, the chat can keep me honest, the last time the Cardinals drafted, developed, and extended an interior offensive lineman. It has probably been, like Deuce Latui, I don't think got a second contract. Like they are consistently adding guys over the hill in free agency and then just going Band-Aid by Band-Aid. And so it's like, God forbid we take a kid who's in his mid-20s, who's presumably in a pop year for this team. And it's like, hey, that third rounder we got, pick 71, can play. And he's going to play his best football here. And then some other team maybe is going to sign him when he's over 30 years old. Like, it doesn't happen with this franchise historically. And I think that's why it just, as crazy as it sounds, like Isaiah Adams perfectly kind of encapsulates what they're trying to do for sustained success. Whereas Espo, like, if Kyler Murray fails this year and they have to pivot or they bring in competition, it's not a gut job. It's not, hey, Carson's gone or Kurt's gone, the franchise is in shambles. Like, you ought to be able to plug somebody else in and be supported by a young, thriving roster.
Yeah, you can't build it where it's predicated on simply one or two guys.
Yeah.
That's not sustainable. That's not realistic. And that's why you'll get flash in the pan moments, but you won't get a team that is good and respected for the long run. And I think they're truly building, or at least attempting to build, something that's sustainable for the long run that will actually attract people to come here rather than, have people leaving whenever they get the opportunity to. And that is so key. And guess what? If a guy like an Adams doesn't work out, you're always going to have that guy on the street that's 30-something that has played in the past that you can bring in. You just don't need to go to that in the middle of July because you didn't draft well enough this year.
That's right. Well said. Everybody, we are approaching overtime here. Drop us a like. It's Super Chats into OT, baby. Meow, meow, meow. PHNX Cardinals goes into overtime on a football Wednesday. My guy Espo. Again, if you're jumping on from one of our many streaming partners, welcome, friends. Become a diehard. Go PHNX.com. This shirt, I'm told, being restocked any day now. And again, want to smash that like button. We're got a bunch of new merch dropping for the start of the regular season. So load up your closet with the good stuff we got going on at the All City Network shop. What's your current favorite t-shirt we got going on, Espo?
I love the MHJ one.
Yeah.
That's honestly one of my all-time favorites that we've done. I do like the Suns' new aligned one, but I always enjoy a good reference to something that's gaining steam in the culture with Suns fans. So
yeah. Any Bradley Beal merch that we can get on discount
no.
clearance?
Luckily, I had the foresight to say, please don't make any of that because we don't want to have to put something on discount. I do, however, want to come up with a kind of buyback program. If you were dumb enough to, if you were suckered into buying a Bradley Beal jersey, then maybe you turn it into us, and then I give you a free membership or something. I want to do that for people.
Yes. I love that. Love that idea. Hopefully not for this show though. Hopefully we don't have any bad shirts.
No. I meant like Bradley Beal jerseys.
Oh, jersey. Gotcha.
Yeah, you hand in your jersey, we'll give you a free membership or something. I'm working on it.
I like that idea. I like these super chats. Kicking us off with our guy Shaft, friend of the program, a stalwart at all of our events. Can't wait to see you, Shaft, this fall. $10. Still having trouble with the live chat. Shoot, Shaft, but I'm here. Like to get started on the fantasy league. He's organizing a fantasy football league for diehards, but I need the names of those who wish to play. Text me your first name. I'll give you my number later. Why don't you jump into the Discord? We'll get that situated, Shaft, because again, fantasy football right around the corner. We'll probably have our draft as a company in about a month, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, out at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. We're gonna
run it back and do it again.
We're gonna run it back in a big way.
Oh man,
we're working on the specific details, but we're gonna run it back in a big way.
Oh man,
you might have to change the punishment this year, though.
Yeah, that's true. I think freshen it up a little bit.
I think we might have to find somewhere else that you have to spend 24 hours in if you lose, or something embarrassing. But yeah, the draft is upcoming for the staff. But I love the idea of a diehard fantasy league. So yeah, definitely, let's get that going in the Discord.
I famously lost the championship game last year in the fourth quarter, so I gifted that to our guy Max. And I still have nightmares about that fateful Sunday afternoon. So
don't worry. Our champion usually winds up losing the next year.
That's true.
So you'll avoid whatever the punishment is now.
Nobody deserves that more than him. Joey, friend of the program, $4.99. I think Petstein was so conservative last year for fear of putting the defense in bad spots. Exponentially better defense equals more explosive chances for MHJ. Bo has made that point too, Joey. I hope that that's the case. My only issue with that is, when the Cardinals were down like double digits, when they were down against teams and they had to throw the ball, it looked difficult. And in those positions, it's like defense be damned, we got to score points. And they just, we saw it. Like Kyler Murray was the worst, like third and long quarterback in the NFL last year. And I know his arm's fine. And for all Kyler Murray haters and his faults out there, like he throws a beautiful deep ball. It's not like his arm is falling off like Colt McCoy 2 years ago. So something's got to give with that unit. And it's crazy that this franchise, with minimal expectations last half decade, like they're going to have to win with style points to open up the season. I want to see big, bulky numbers for Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. because that will prove to me like, oh, you guys figured it out. You spent the offseason, you got it right.
Yeah, and I have faith that they will. It is an interesting thought, but to your point, when push came to shove, you didn't have that next year for the offense. It'd be one thing if you were calling conservatively when early on because you didn't want to put your defense in a bad situation. But once you go down, all bets are off, and you should open up that playbook. And it just wasn't there last year. So I don't think it was a matter of he was trying to be conservative. I think it was a matter of they did not have the plays that were effective enough to get those guys open.
Shaft again with another super chat, $10. Yes, Ryan, I'm still here. MHJ should easily have between just under 1,300 yards to 1,430, 14.3 yards per catch, and between 10 to 13 touchdowns. It'd be a home run season. Catch rate between 70 to 75%. Who's playing in the new PHNX Fantasy League? Don't miss out. Yeah, don't miss out. That's a hell of an entry point. Become a diehard at gophnx.com and get in on that. Bo and I have played in years prior. If there's room for us, we'll play again. But yeah, it's all part of the community here. And Shaft is a big part of that. So thank you, Shaft, for those super chats today.
I love that he looked at our two lists and said, let me combine them and say somewhere in between.
That's right.
I think that's just a smart man. You listen to the two smartest guys in the room and you said, I'm right along with them. Granted, there's only two of us in the room, but so by default we're the smartest, but I like it.
I like all of you smashing that like button. Went over an hour today with my friend Espo subbing in for Bo Brock, but this won't be the last time, hopefully, Espo, that we see you before the start of a pivotal regular season. Diamondbacks, Suns, couldn't get it done this year. Diamondbacks playing a little bit better, but it's the Cardinals' year to really take over the Valley.
It is. Coyotes went undefeated, though, at least.
Oh, Jesus. Let's not do that. I don't want to do that. That's sad.
Trying to, is there any positive? No. Cardinals better not disappoint because we need it, and we need it bad as a fan base. And, I listen to you and Bo every day, and you've got me believing that they're not going to disappoint. So I trust you guys.
Yep. If they lose, it's our fault. That's for sure. Certainly Twitter will tell us that as well. Do us a favor. Follow Espo. Follow me on Twitter. Follow No Man wherever you get your social. Again, we got more content coming this week. This is the appetizer, friends. We kick off our training camp coverage on Monday. I got my guy Damon in the house. Dirty Damon Dog in the house, manana, talking all things Cardinals. It's been a while since I've seen my little pup boy.
He's a big dog now. Not a pup.
He is.
Hosting his own show, being on D-backs. Like, he went to bigger and better things after he left you guys.
It's so true. We sent him free, and he's thriving now. The clip on Twitter killed me the other day where they muted his mic, and the expletives fly. Told him how proud I am of him. So Damon Dog returns tomorrow. But in the meantime, like this video, subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube, and are rolling to 50,000 subscribers here ahead of the NFL season. For Espo, Noah, I'm Johnny Venerable. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.